Hello beautiful soul, and welcome to Manifest with me, Rebecca G. I'm your manifestation, meditation and mindset coach who blends equal measures of soul, strategy and a little sprinkle of science on the side. Consider me your modern day pink witch with my spiritual toolbox packed full of ideas to energize and inspire you and to put the action into the law of attraction. Let this podcast be your weekly fix because, my beautiful soul, it is time to turn your vision board into a reality. All right, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to Manifest with me, Rebecca G. I am joined today by the beautiful Charlotte Solomon. Been chatting to this beautiful lady. We connected when I started talking about the witch wound online, which I've been talking about a lot at the moment. And as it's the month of October, what a better time to celebrate these beautiful women that went before us and all our ancestors that couldn't do what we're doing now. I mean, I'm sat here surrounded by a ritual I did the other night, and I would have been burnt at the stake if I was caught for doing things like that back in the day. So here we are today celebrating and talking about all things witchy and woo. And Charlotte is an absolute wealth of knowledge, more than me. And I love it that she's on here. She's like shaking her head. She's going, no, I don't. So Charlotte's a moon witch. She works primarily with the moon, a bit like myself. She loves the cycles of the moon and all kind of the wheel of the seasons, and she loves to empower people by teaching them how to follow the moon. She uses moon ceremonies herself, and she's also a yoga instructor. She's a mummy like myself. She's got daughter Eddie, who's 10. I've got this right, and you're 19.
Edie, yeah, Edie, just in case she listens, because she probably will. So yeah, I've got Edie, she's 10, and I've got Talia, who is 19.
19-year-old, yeah.
And
your dog, Hades?
So he's the god of the underworld. And so I did, obviously, when I was getting a dog, it wasn't just as simple as going getting a dog. I had to do his birth chart. And the moon was in Scorpio.
Oh my God, I love that for your animals, your pets. That's so good.
Yeah, so my cat's an Aquarius, so he keeps going off finding his tribe. He goes and heals the whole street. That's Fred. And then the dog, Hades, he's a Gemini sun, but it's a Scorpio moon. So I do say that he's taking me from darkness to light. But me and that dog have been together in many, many lifetimes. I just know it. It's weird.
Of doing your charts for your animals. I do it for my son, but not for animals. That's so interesting.
And you know what? As a Gemini, he so relates to it. He's like, hi, runs over to everybody. He wants to be high, so sociable. But then he's got this like deep.
And it's like that.
Yeah. Then he's got this deep, intense side that he needs to feel really loved and connected, but it's all on his terms. Like most Scorpios, really.
Yes. I dated one like that. It's so funny when you talk about that and you're like, oh, I've dated someone like that many moons ago. So many moons ago, that's where it comes from, isn't it? So tell us, I want to talk to you about the witch trials, because this is how we connected, first of all. And you live, and you've been, haven't you?
I'm going to take you to Pendle Hill. Yeah. So growing up as a little girl, so I had my big nana, and my big nana would read tea leaves, and she was very heavily into the spiritualist church, and she was like, she must have been so connected now looking back as a little girl, but she really was. She was the calmest, most gentlest kind of soul. And I was from Bolton, which is a proper mill town, like proper like Lancashire mill town, and Pendle Hill is quite an iconic space. And now even the bus route is called the Witchy Way and the Witch Way, and you're all kind of brought up knowing about Pendle Hill. And so weirdly this year, a student of mine, because I actually when I teach the moon ceremonies, I don't just have women anymore, I have men as well, because I don't think we don't need to alienate anymore. So a guy of mine said, look, why don't we go up Pendle Hill? And we actually went up for the full moon in Sagittarius, and it was a beautiful clear day. We met at the bottom. There was 5 or 6 of us, and we walked up to the top, and I didn't know as much. I'd read a few books, I knew a few bits, but since then I've ran a couple of retreats nearby, and there is an amazing book which is it's a like a fictionalized version of what the author thought could have happened, because I don't know if you know, there was 11 women that were up for trial. It was one of the biggest trials, especially within the UK, and it's covered in quite a few of the witchcraft books. And of the 11 women that were trialed, one of them got off. And so The Familiars is the book, and I'll share the link so maybe you can share it under the podcast. And it was basically, the author's depiction was that potentially that woman may have been a midwife, because there was a local lady, lord and lady, within the area, and quite soon after the trials, she gave birth. So the story kind of surmises that potentially, and really, in all honesty, these women were not witches. They were just women that used herbs. They were just women that were the wise women. In fact, some of the women in the Pendle witch trials were just friends of people. And that to me just really hits home, because when I was taking this group up Pendle Hill, there was a woman that was a friend of a friend, and she was like, well, we need to protect ourselves and we need to be this. And I was like, because we're already assuming, you're assuming that those women were witches. And to me, those women were not. They were women just like me. They were women just like you. They just followed rituals. They used plants. They used the seasons. They used the moons. And obviously they used the moons and how to live on Earth.
Yeah. And that fear, that ancestral fear, is where it's come from. That can't, and I get it now, even in my moon group, and you will too, I'm sure, where people go, oh, I'm going to a moon thing, like, oh yeah, I'm going to tell a few sort of people, and it's like, where does that come from? Why are we not like, we're going to a yoga class, or we're going to a moon ritual? There's like, and that's where I'm sure you are as well, bringing that power back into women, to be like, it's as normal as going to a gym class and to an aerobics class as it is to go to a moon circle. That's kind of where and what my calling is, to bring it, to get rid of all that squiffy weirdness about talking about spiritual stuff. And that's because I grew up being like, oh god, I can't tell, because I'm a nurse. I'm like, if I tell my colleagues that I'm into spiritual stuff, they're going to think I'm an absolute loon. But now I don't care.
Yeah, but I think we have to go through that process, and I can imagine you, like I did, went through that process. And I remember getting up on the summer solstice one day, and I'm like live streaming Stonehenge because I can't be there, and it was COVID as well, but like live streaming Stonehenge, and I've got my crystals out and I'm doing my sun salutations. And I remember like a neighbour going, oh, did you get up to watch the sun for Stonehenge? I was like, yeah, did you know? And I remember it was that mocking, and it was that. And now I'm like, more fool you.
Yeah, why would you not? Get involved. Come round.
Exactly. But I do think that fear is still there, and we have to work through to educate. And there are some amazing books. So I kind of went through this rabbit hole, and I read a lot of books because I'm trying.
Because I'm doing so much research for my own books. So I'm like,
I literally feel like I couldn't go. So the Witchcraft in 13 Trials, I'll share that one with you. So that one is a depiction of the 13 trials, and how from the first trial, how those stories, and then how they built the I suppose the story and the same scare and fear factor from the first, and how they built through each of the trials. That is a brilliant book, a brilliant kind of depiction. There's also the Witch Wound book. I don't know if you've read that one, and it's very much about an uncovery of where your witch wound could be and how, and that's got a huge section in there as well that breaks down a lot of the knowledge of the witch trials, but on a even basic level, like there's a teen book, and it's called The Burning by Laura Bates, and I think it's aimed at like 12-13-year-olds, and it is an amazing book. And she uses factual history of the Scottish witch trials, because I don't know, in Scotland it was just, it was really horrendous. Really horrendous in Scotland. And the girl within the book, she has been shamed for taking some pictures of herself, which so often happens now, because really what's happening still to us is similar, so aligned with the witch trials. So she moves house to Scotland. She actually moves into what she doesn't realise is to be the cottage of the witch that died, and she starts to have flashbacks as if she's this witch. And it's like the realizations that what we're still going through is the same what was 400-500 years ago, when we were still being victimized. Exactly. And the girl was she was actually hung after they attempted to drown her, just simply for having a baby out of wedlock.
Brutal. Horrendous. So brutal. You read it, and it's so harrowing to think that it wasn't that long ago, and for how long it went on for is what
Mm,
always shocks me when I'm reading these books. And I'm like, this went on longer than the Holocaust. Like, how did this
mm.
happen? How did people not like? But I guess they were just scared. If they spoke up, they would just be killed.
Well, exactly. I mean, if you look at the statistics, it was mainly women. There was 20% of the total, and I don't think the figures will probably be correct, but the 20% of men that were killed. But it's probably highly likely that those men maybe were homosexual men, but they wouldn't have carried those statistics at that point, would they? But they were often shepherds, or they were depicted as shepherds because they were so in tune with the seasons. And so this doesn't just run through the lineage of women. It runs through us from kind of all of us. And when it was really 500 years, of course, somewhere within us, we're going to carry some of that fear. And I think it shows up within groups of women. Do we really trust women? Do we ever really feel like we can trust? And ultimately, I think that's all kind of underpinning to coming back. Well, don't kill me, kill her instead, which was a fight for survival. But then also that fear of being seen, for stepping out of the lines of what's Christianity depicts that we should be doing.
And how have you found it shown up for you? You talked about is it PMD? You went on a bit.
Yeah, so I truly believe. So I was diagnosed at 35 with PMDD. When I started my periods at 16, I
What that is to the
so
listeners.
premenstrual delusional dysphoria, horrendous name that I could probably imagine a man came up with.
Yeah.
So when I started my period, when I started my periods, I just literally would change. So the first 2 weeks of my cycle, I'm fine, but then as soon as I ovulate and the progesterone kind of hits within the body, then the anxiety and the depression would then come on. But I also have
Is your cycle on a moon? You on a
I think I only started to track it. That was how I got into the moon, really. It was how it all came about. It was never, I would go to the doctors. I have also a form of hemophilia von Willebrand's. You're a nurse, but basically it's just around my period. So when I would come on my period, I bleed. But I went for years and years, and I'd go to the doctor and say, I'm having horrendous periods. And they go, have this pill, have this progesterone implant, have this. I tried everything. And the progesterone implant, I was literally stabbing people in Sainsbury's for a trolley. It was so debilitating. And I just felt like I wasn't getting the help. And then fast forward, both of my pregnancies, I had massive hemorrhages. And with my daughter, I even remember I was leaving this life.
Isn't that common with women that have that and then they have children? The hemorrhaging is really common when they have children.
Yeah, but because I didn't know at the time that I had it, it was just, and then I went back home having had those massive hemorrhages, no blood transfusion, sent me some iron tablets and kind of left to get on with it. So I had horrendous postnatal depression with both of my children, and both of my relationships failed with both children. And I do feel like part of that roller coaster was the fact that it was just so undiagnosed for so long. As even when I started to bleed, I breastfed both children, but even I started to bleed quite early on, and my body's never really recovering.
I heard a woman online talking the other day. She's a nutritionist, but she helps people through menopause. And she's like, I think we need to go back to when women have babies. And that's when we need to start giving them hormones, because she's adamant, it's not postnatal depression. It's a lack of hormones that we need to be giving women straight after birth, the minute that baby comes out. And I was like, that is so fascinating when you think about it, how out of whack your body is. And plus you'd had almost a hemorrhage. Of course you're going to be losing so much and you're going to need so much back in. And it's really interesting to hear you say that again. I wonder if we're going to hear more of that for people with postnatal, because so many relationships do break down because of the hormones.
And you're absolutely exhausted. I mean, even the strongest relationship struggles with a new baby. And throw into the mix then this like absolute depletion and the depression. So the cycles are, as soon as the ovulation hits, I would get this horrendous anxiety, and the anxiety would just show up in, well, you didn't realize it, I suppose, so it could show up in, I'm failing as a mother, absolutely. And then it could be anything. When it was around work, it was around, am I doing my job good enough? Like, now that I track my cycle, I'm able to manage. But then it seemed so alien that this anxiety had just come out of nowhere, hit me like a ton of bricks, and then I'd be like, how do I get on with it? Then the last week would be like the real depression. Now I look at that cycle so much differently now, but then I didn't see the pattern. I didn't understand it was a pattern. It was this torture that I went through. And I got into a relationship, my third relationship. My oldest was 12 and my youngest was 18 months. And I got into a relationship with somebody, and it was really complex, but he was going through his own things. But he would say, oh, every time you have your period, you're like unbelievably crazy. So I started the Google search, as you do, foods to eat, when you're on your periods, and I started to follow the moon. Everything I did was all around periods. I then got the diagnosis for PMDD. Now, in reality, once I'd started to track my cycle, once I knew the rise and the fall of my energy, once I started to rest on my period and honor all the things that we now know, I was better. But I do I think I've got PMDD now? No, I think I was in a really unhealthy, bad relationship. However, I'm really happy that brought me to where I was, because I can manage all the symptoms. But I think I was pretty much gaslighted quite a lot, because I think, when it got to the stage where he would say, oh, you're this, you're that, and the other. And I'd put up with it for 3 weeks. And then the last week I'd be like, no. And I'd probably give it him back. But in a past life regression, me and him have been in many past lives together. But that's probably a whole nother podcast.
Hearing that. No, I love it. Me and my husband were in a past life together. And my little boy.
Yeah.
Let me tell you this story. You'll find this interesting, because it came out the other week. When I went to see Claire, who we were just talking about for my shamanic healing, she was saying, do you have something's coming up for you about your son? And he was 3 at the time. He's 4 now. And I said, yeah, all the time I would have this really strange fear that he was going to die. Not like cot death. It was like, is a car going to drive into the side of us? Or is this going to happen? Or like all the time playing these scenarios out in my brain. But it was like every day, and it was like really giving me bad anxiety. And she said, it's because when I said, when he hit 2, it just stopped. It was only when she brought it up, I said, God, I haven't thought about that for ages. Actually, it was around his 2nd birthday I stopped having that. And she said, that's because when he was 2, he passed over, he died, and he was with you previously. Now, we went to the train, this was last week, went to the train station to pick my husband up. We sat on the edge of the train station waiting for my husband to arrive, because his taxi hadn't arrived, so we went to Bournemouth to pick him up, which we don't normally do. And I said to the guard, can we go and sit on the edge, because my little boy loves trains? And he's like, yeah, go on through. So we sat on the edge, and he goes, he's just turned 4, and he goes, oh, mummy, this is where I died. And I went, what? He said, I fell on the tracks and I died, and you tried to get me, but I was like, right, well, we better stay back then. And he went through this whole story of what had happened, and then he never saw me again. And I was like, will you stay close to me, please? And I was like, I couldn't even speak. I was like, oh my God. Told my mum and my husband, they were just like, oh my God, that's freaky. Told Claire this weekend, and she was like, yeah, I didn't want to tell you how, because in case you ever never went near a train again for the rest of your life. I was worried it was going to happen. But they are so in tune, aren't they? These little ones, like they're with us from previous lives, and she told me they choose to come back as well. They can choose to come back to their family, which is so beautiful.
Yeah, it's so funny. I've had a similar experience with both of my children, but in different lives, in different ways. Yeah, very much so. Very much so.
Spiritual as well, your kids? Are they into the same?
I'd say that
are they getting into it?
Oh, my daughter, yes, very much so. I really feel like she helped me to get on this path. So she is a really gentle soul, and she forced me to slow down. I don't know about you, but I feel like when we carry those children, we take on their energy. And my first child is like, go, 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 go. And I felt like, yeah, that was definitely there. But then once I had my second child, it was a completely different energy, and I really changed. Something changed within that pregnancy.
I've only had one, and he is go, 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 go. But I got told yesterday when I did this womb healing that there's a little girl in the pipeline. So she might slow me down. Who knows?
Yeah, you never know. But I do feel like the souls, I don't know how you believe, but I believe they choose us as parents.
100%. Apparently they do. That's apparently
Yeah. Like they choose, and they kind of come in and select. So I always feel like really honored, like they've chosen us, haven't they, to be their parents.
And so tell me about your manifestations. How do you manifest? Are you a manifestor on the moon, or you kind of use rituals, or are you someone that's like, what do you do?
So within human design, I'm a generator.
So yes, I knew it.
So I feel like I talk the talk, and then I make things happen. So I always now follow through the invitations and where it feels within my body. So I try not to go out and create things, but I do follow the invitations. But if I want to manifest something, I talk it as if I've already got it. So this year, at the start of the year, it was like someone said, "Oh, are you doing any retreats this year?" And I was like, "Yes, I'm doing 2." I wasn't. I've not even been booked.
You're like, find the venue now. Shit.
Yeah, but I ended up doing 3 because halfway through the year, someone said, "Are you doing any more?" And I was like, "Actually, I'm going to do a teen girl retreat." And we'd not organised it, we'd not arranged it, and then it happened, and we took 15 teenagers, and we worked through yoga, but also through womb connection, through creativity, and we did a releasing ceremony. It was over the summer solstice, so I speak it and then it becomes true. I also have an altar, and I'll change my altar. I have obviously really followed the moon all the way through, and I have the book with every single, and so I find it a really beautiful process to go back and look at what I asked for and where I'm going to keep aligning. Yes. But I don't feel like I can manifest as well as, say, a manifestor. You're a manifesting generator, aren't you?
I'm a manifesting generator, yeah. It's quite quick for us. So I was talking to the girls in my group about this author who I'm obsessed with, Diana Cooper. Have you read her book recently?
I watch her on YouTube. Do you watch her on YouTube?
Yeah, I did her talk on YouTube the other night. Did you see that?
No.
Oh yeah, you need to go back and watch that.
I will.
Yeah. So she's written this book called The Golden, I can't know, it's Golden something. I keep forgetting what the full name of it is. Got it on my Audible. I'll have a look while I'm talking to you. And, she is someone that's just on my radar. The Golden Future. There you are.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, you're just like driving along, and I'm like, oh gosh, it was this lady's retreat that I went to who was like in her 60s, like, and I was thinking rudely, I wonder if she's still alive. I hope she is, because it's about 20 years since I'd seen this woman. So I was like, she could, she'll be like 80 now, but she's the one that introduced me to Diana Cooper when I was 16 and went to this retreat, and I'm 42.
Wow.
So I'm doing my shopping, and then along comes this woman called Annie, whose retreat I went to 20 years ago. And I'm like, okay, this is quick. She's got bright red hair. You can't miss her. So I'm like, oh my God, I was literally just thinking about you today. She goes, I was thinking about you last week, wondering what had happened to you, because I can't find you on social media. So I said, I'm married now. My name's Wellstead Green, not Green. And she was like, oh, I was wondering what you guys were chatting away, blah, blah, blah. She goes, what are you doing tonight? And I said, I've got my moon ritual tonight that I do with my ladies. She goes, I've got a call it's called the Conscious Cafe. So anyone that's in Dorset, she's got a cafe. She does events there. Didn't even know about it. This is her all over. Doesn't use social media. Like she just about it, and then it happens. She's got such a following on email. She goes, you must come along. My good friend Diana Cooper is coming. I was like, what?
Stop it.
What the actual fuck? I was like, your friend Diana Cooper is coming. She's like, do you like her? I was like, you told me to buy her book 20 years ago, and I've been obsessed with her ever since. And she's like, oh my God, she goes, she lives in your town. Like, I live in Wimborne in Dorset, and she's like, she lives near you. I was like, what? I was like, right, I have to manifest bumping into her and like being invited around to her house for a cup of tea. I said to her, if I walk past David Beckham, I was like, play it cool. I'd be like, I wouldn't talk to him. I'd be like,
Diana Cooper, you'd be there.
Like, wow. Diana Cooper, I'd be like, oh my God, I fucking love you so much. You've changed my life. Your books are amazing. Like,
yeah. That's amazing. Haven't you found though, through this year, that's got better, those skills?
Way better.
This year, it's like I think of somebody and I look at my phone and they've texted. Yes. Those abilities this year, because astrologically we've gone through so many upgrades, and like intuition, all of our gifts are more coming to light. We're getting more, and like, I don't know about you, but I'm imagining it's the same. You're like, and it's crazy.
Really fast. But also, I'm also probably slowing down a lot more than I ever have because of the moon. That's actually really, I've always been in tune with the moon. I've worked with the moon. I've had my group Sacred for a couple of years now, but more so for me, like, okay, let's not book any meetings in or any podcasts around that time because you're going to be like a slug. I was like, no point. My computer never works, or we end up cancelling. It never works out. I don't go to the gym on those days. I go for long walks. Like, and actually then I'm super fired up and super powerful and more intuitive, and more manifestations come in when I listen to that. And when I don't listen to it, it's almost like the universe is like, okay, we're going to fuck your day up because you're not listening to us.
Yeah, so true. So true. It's like the more you ease into that intuition, the more that you slow down, the more that you are like able to see the gifts. Whereas, yeah, you're right. If you just pow, 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 but the power, yeah, but the power of what's coming through, it's like, I even laugh at myself sometimes, like, oh, okay.
Why? What? Like what? What have you had recently, Sharon?
I think just like you're thinking of a person and then you bump into them. It's like I'm even doing little tests for myself. Like, let's just see, I'll think about this person and see if they message, and they ring, and they do.
Wow, I love that.
Like, everybody needs to do this.
Stuff I would do. I love that. That's so good.
Yeah.
Love that. And do you bring this into your classes as well? Because are you teaching yoga now?
Yeah.
Do you bring that the moon in?
All, yeah.
Oh, that's lush.
Yeah, completely. So when you come to Pendle Hill and I take you, I've got a studio at home and I teach in line with the moon. So today the moon's in Taurus, so I would teach a really throat cleansing, grounding practice. We do quite a lot of clearing of the throat. We do like a lot, it'd be a very slow, well, it is a slow practice. And so every day, so when the moon switches to Gemini, we'll work on the shoulders, the elbows, the wrist, because to me, it's all in line. I live my whole life this way. So everything I do is based around this kind of energy.
And it makes you feel good as well. I bet your class, where is your class? So people that are listening obviously know you've got an all
I'm in Manchester. So I'm from Bolton originally, but I'm in Manchester. So yeah, the best bit. I work really hard to get out. And then
been there. Do you know, I lived in Scotland and Wales. I've got lots of Welsh family, and obviously I know all of the South Coast. I've never been to that part of the UK. I've been everywhere else, like Ireland. I've never ever been to that bit, to Manchester.
You've got to come.
I'm going to come to Pendle Hill.
Yeah, I've told you I'll take you. We'll have an expedition. We could take a whole group up. It's special. It's really magical. And I think and the energy up there is really beautiful. We watched the sunset, but on the day it was the first super moon, because obviously we've had 4, but it was the first one, and it was just cloudy, and we literally waited up there till midnight, and we're like, oh, we still can't see it. And then we literally drove home, and as we were driving, this huge moon. So yeah, it's a real treat.
Lucky to live. So how far are you from Pendle? How long does it take?
Now about 45 minutes.
Oh, that's nothing, is it? That's really close. I love that. Is it really busy there? Do loads of people go and see? Do they?
Loads of people go.
Because there's like a witchy museum or something up there now. Like someone tagged me on TikTok and said there's like a witchy thing you can go to, like caves, and I was like, oh wow, not somewhere near up there in Pendle. It's like a witchy.
And the people have like kind of added on to it, like witchy cafes and that kind of thing. But I think for me, it's like an honoring that these were just powerful women that were just living in there, you know, and like owning the witch in like the victims that they were for what they've gone through. Like,
healing. Have you found out what your witch wounds are? Have you done any past life stuff?
I've done a lot. So I've had 3 past life regressions, one specifically where we went through different areas of my body, and she kind of went through different areas and kind of worked through, and every single area of my body that she touched through wasn't just the witch wounds. We were going back to like, I had an issue in my feet that I always felt like I was going in the wrong direction. And that was because I was an Aborigine on walkabout and I thought I was going the wrong way and I killed myself, and I actually was going in the right direction. And then we moved up to my knees. And when we got to my knees in that life, I'd been put on a boat to Australia, been sent to Australia because I'd stolen some bread because I was hungry, and I got whipped. Right. And I got whipped, and I was being whipped because I was crying and I was complaining because I didn't want to leave Scotland to go to Australia. So when it was really powerful at every stage, but here when I got to my chest was just this grief and this loss. And I think that my witch wound really shows up in allowing myself to be seen, allowing me to step into who I am and what I am, and saying, because I've been obviously murdered before for being who I am. But the most weirdest synchronicity that I could tell you is I went to do my yoga teacher training, and I was on the plane, and I was getting on this plane. It was like a 7-hour flight. And I got on the plane and I sat down, and I was sat with this family from Birmingham. Like, no offense, I love people from Birmingham, but I was like sat between 15 of them going away on a holiday together. And I was like, I'm not meant to sit here. So I said to the air hostess, I was like, is there any chance that I could move? And the people were like, no, you can stay here. And I was like, no, I think I better move. So I moved, and I ended up sat next to a shaman. Of course I did.
Oh, thanks.
And he was the most magical person. And he just said, you've been a wise woman for many, many, many lifetimes. The person in the village that people go to, the people that come for guidance and for kind of guidance, help, support. You've worked in many different lifetimes, in many different cultures, and you've lived many different lives. And I do really align with that, especially within my birth chart as well. And he's like, but now you need to step into the power. And I've really drawn in, because what he said was, you will meet women and you'll meet them and you'll feel like you've known them your whole life. And that, since that he told me that, I do meet these women all the time. And I know that I'm here, and maybe it's just for the season, and I'll meet them and I'll bring them in and I'll be there for them, and then they go. And they always say, I feel like I've known you before. Yes. I get it so many times. People like, I feel like I know you. People message me on Instagram like, I feel like I really know you. And I'm like, yeah, maybe we do.
Maybe we sat in circle together.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. I feel like all of us coming back together like this on my podcast, and people that you meet and I meet in my groups, and that retreat I went on yesterday, I felt like there was women there that I'd met before. Like, you know, and you looked at them and I'm like, I feel like I've just, you know, and you're like, I know you from somewhere, but I don't. And like, you ask them where they're from and they're not from anywhere near you. Then you don't know them, but it's that familiarity feeling, isn't it? Yeah, I felt that.
I trained in Wiccan.
Tell us about that, because I want to know more about this. I want to learn.
Yeah, so I went to witch school. So in quite local to me, we have a witch school, and I went along, and there was 7 other witches, really beautiful souls. Keep in touch with quite a few of them. And one witch in particular, complete opposite to me. Like, she was not someone that I ever thought we would connect with. We were paired together, and we ended up working through witch school. We did level 1. We kind of did 1 to 4, and I can read her mind and she can read mine. Like, it was mad. It's mad, right? The connection that I have to that woman is unbelievable. I would never have kind of put us together. But in witch school, we just kind of we just would go through, we do spells, we do magic, we do everything. And then I loved it, but there was always a part of it that didn't feel like mine, until I went to Sweden, and then I went to Iceland, and I thought, that's because I feel like I'm a Norse witch rather than a Wiccan. Kind of, it just aligned more. So we're actually starting Norse witch school in October.
My God, how incredible. I am obsessed with all those programs, like Vikings or Last Kingdom or
Lost Kingdom.
Any of those. I'm so in that movie set, like I've lived it. And I think when you feel like that, you probably have. That's where you feel so connected and so emotional. Like, even the music knows. I'm like, makes me cry with
Yeah,
emotion.
I'll send you a playlist. I've got an amazing playlist.
Kevin's like, what the fuck are you listening to? You normally listen to Head Candy or like dance music or Defected, and now you're listening to this Norse music. I'm like, I love it so much. She played it yesterday at the shamanic healing retreat. We were deep in meditation, and my friend afterwards went, what was that tune? She played at the end. I was like, I've got that tune. She's like, how have you got music like that? I was like, I just love it so much.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's like you feel powerful, isn't it? I think it's, when you feel a lot of them when the singers are just singing and there's like there's like a real,
because she sings like that. She sings like Nordic. The way she sings and chants is like, it's nothing weird. You know how some people when they sing, it makes you feel a bit uncomfortable when you're at a retreat and it's like weird, like lullaby songs. No, this is like Nordic, Norse, where the way she it's incredible. It just goes through your soul.
yeah, it kind of makes you feel safe, doesn't it, in a weird way.
Tell me about your school you're going to. Oh my god, I want to go to witch school.
So I just literally found it because we felt like we'd come to the kind of like the end of the road. We'd done a lot, and it's really beautiful because it brought us together with other women. So we would get together, like for Samhain, for different practices, and make different things, and summer solstice, winter solstice, just getting together. It was just really beautiful because you just felt like you were building a community. And then I think we've both left and started to build our own communities a little bit more. And then I found the course and it was just online, and it's actually delivered in English, but the guy I think is based in Sweden. So knowledge is power. And I don't sometimes think it's just like we can take little bits from everything. We don't have to be, I'm just this and I'm just that. We can bits from shamanism. We can take bits from this. And it's whatever it means to you. We can get caught up with doing the right thing and doing the wrong thing, but there's no right and wrong.
And I think that's the power of us doing this now, is that we
Yeah.
can bring it in using podcasts and, using Zoom and things like that. And I know I need to start doing more stuff in person, because yesterday made me realize the power of when we actually come together in person, that as much as it's a frequency online, the power of being in person is just absolutely electric. And that's the kind of the beauty of this. I mean, I always say I don't care what religion anybody is. It never bothers me. I don't have any judgment on religion. But what I love about this kind of spiritual space is that it literally is, it's open to everybody. And like you said, you can bring in a bit of shamanic, you can bring in a bit of Wicca, you can all these things that you're piecing together to make it your own practice that you can then go out and deliver, and generally make people feel good and make us feel like this is normal, and how we used to come together and share these things, and just bringing it back to the old ways, but bringing in a little sprinkle of 2023, which was quite nice.
Yeah, exactly. I think the most important thing to really press is that we can't do it wrong. That, we can't do it wrong. It is what it means to you.
I'm going to learn so much from you. I feel like you're going to be my little, what course should I go on next, Charlotte?
Well, just come to Manchester. I'm going to take you to Pendle.
Because I've never been before, and I feel I'm going up that hill with you.
Yeah, we're going up that hill. Now, there's two ways of going. There's the step way and the other way. The step way is a bit steeper. Last time I did it, a friend brought all these crystals. She had a bag full of crystals. Please don't bring your crystals, babe, because it's a big hill.
Yeah.
So just bring a small one.
I go walking up hills a lot around here, so
yeah, you'll be good. But yeah, we'll go up to the top. We did some primal screaming. We did some like releasing. Yeah, we'll get it all in.
Did a bit of that yesterday. It was wonderful.
I think we all need to do that a little bit more.
Yeah, right. And can you imagine you found this like before you had your kiddos?
I wish, do you know what? In a way, I wish I had, but I think that the journey that we've been on, we have to go through those twists and turns, don't we? I worked in marketing before, and I ran restaurants and brands and stuff. So yeah, and in a way, within each of those restaurants, there was like an events manager, and they all worked for me, and I was empowering women. And in the same way, that's exactly what I do now. I empower people to be the best selves. So we've got to go through those lessons, haven't we, to get to where we want to be. But yeah,
I've loved having you on today, but I always ask our guests this question. So 5 years from now, imagine you come across this podcast, it pops up and like, oh yeah, on your memories or something. I did that 5 years ago, Rebecca. You're going to make a manifestation today. What would it be? So you're going to look back in 5 years from now and go, oh my God, that bloody came true. What's happening for Charlotte in the next 5 years? Tell us what the journey is for you.
Well, now I wish you would have sent me the list of questions so I could have prepared.
What's it going to be? Your magical life? Like, you're going to grow your group? Are you like...
Yeah, I would love to expand the moon ceremonies so that they're open to everybody, not just women. Everybody is welcome. We would be so much more mainstream, more accessible. I run more of the teachings of learning how to follow the moon and more of the retreats, because I'm starting my first one in January this year. So we take people in groups together and we empower them together, and then they go off for the year ahead. So more retreats, more of that, and much more of, like you were saying, slowing down, honoring that rest, and being more able to coach and meet people from a filled cup, because often what we do is we give and give and give and give and give. So I'm more balanced. That's where I would like to be.
Love that so much. Thank you so much for sharing this space. And where can people find you? Because I found we connected on TikTok. You've got
I'm still very new on TikTok.
Love it. Love that app. Do you know why I love it? This is so good if you're trying to run a business on there, because it goes by your words. The algorithm, it's like I talked about the moon 100 times in my thing, but anyone that's searching about the moon, it would then be sent to all those people, but it keeps popping up. So I had a video that started popping yesterday that I put out a year ago. So it keeps repurposing your content. So it's almost like it's evergreen. I love that about that. So yeah,
I'm still new. So I'm still finding myself on TikTok, but I'm moon_child yoga on TikTok. I'm the same on Instagram, and I've got a little bit more of an audience there. And I have a website, moonchildyoga.co.uk. So everything that I do is all on there.
Tell me about the retreat. That's in January.
Yeah, so I'm going to take some beautiful souls to Lincolnshire, to some barns, and we're going to go Friday the 5th to the 7th of January, and I'm going to teach them how to follow the moon. So we'll do a huge releasing of 2023 for a really big clear out of everything to let go. Then we're going to
that's over the full moon.
Yeah,
lush.
Yeah, and then we're going to really set our intentions, and they'll go forth empowered with everything for 2024.
I have a feeling I'm going to be there, Charlotte.
Please come.
I feel like I need to be there. I feel like I need
come. But before that, send me some dates to come to Pendle.
I could do that around that time, right? So for the 5th to, I want to come to Pendle before that. The 5th to the 7th, did you say? Is that what you said?
Yeah, 5th to the 7th, yeah.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Yeah.
5, 6, 7. Oh,
come.
How many spaces have you got?
Well, this is the thing, is that I was going to start off with 10, but the space can hold more, so we can just get more spaces and add it all in. Okay. But I was starting with 10 because,
Let's fill it out for our girls. Get on our website. Have you got a link to book on there already?
It's got like a save the date. It's got to save the date.
Get on our website, save your spot. I'm going to save my spot, and I'm sure
Thank you very much. It was so nice to meet you.
You too, actually, in person. I love it. We've been chatting online for ages, and then you get to meet these beautiful women. So thank you for listening today. As always, check out the links below. Have a look at her website. Have a look at her thing, and make sure you give a review for this and give her a big shout out. And then encourage Charlotte to have her own podcast, because I think she needs one. I would listen to it anyway. Thank you, everyone, for listening today. Love you loads, and I'll see you next week. Bye. Are you ready to start manifesting and raising your vibration all at your fingertips? Introducing the Sacred Souls mobile app. Imagine having all of the tools you could possibly need to manifest and raise your vibration like never before, all in the palm of your hand, wherever you are in the world. Now, this membership is for you, my darling listener. If you are a beginner to manifesting and you're not sure what to do or how to get the wheels in motion, maybe you're an old-time manifestor and you've just got stuck in the mud, you feel completely blocked and you're struggling to move forward. You might be anxious and on the edge, and you're really feeling like you want to start to take control of your energy, and you're wanting to really move forward with your manifestations, but you're a little bit overwhelmed trying to juggle life, and you want to find a space to start looking after you. If you've been on a spiritual journey for a while, then you will be ready to take things up a notch. There is something for everybody here. So are you ready for more? More money, more abundance, more love, more everything, and most importantly, more community. This is not just any app where you're going to be downloading things or and watching videos and listening to audios. Yes, it's got all of that and beautiful workbooks within it, but you get to be part of a community and live calls and masterclasses as well. So are you ready to start creating the life of your dreams? Because I am ready to do that with you. Click the link in the show notes and join me today in my sacred community and start your manifesting journey within the Sacred Souls membership. I can't wait to see you there. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm sending you a huge virtual squishy hug, and I hope today's episode has helped giving you some inspiration, energy, and a light bulb moment. So do share your light bulbs or any takeaways you've had on your socials and tag me in, as I absolutely love to hear from you. So if you love to share, you are going to love my giveaway. Every month I'm running a new competition to win a large moon box packed full of crystals, candles, affirmation cards, incense, my Love Yourself to the Moon and Back journal, and a real surprise of spiritual treats that change every month. So listen up if you want to win and get your hands on this, because all you have to do is, number 1, leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. Number 2, tag me on your socials with either a post, video or story of your top takeaway of that specific episode. Be sure to tag me in as @RebeccaWellstead-Green so that I see it, and you'll be entered into my free prize draw. So from my heart to yours, lots of love to the moon and back. Have a fabulous week, beautiful, and I can't wait to spend time with you again next week. Mwah!